team sports. Your box seat to the CFL.
I'm Pat Marsden along with Leif Pettersson. There are two things that could be factors in this football game this afternoon. One is the wind. Leif Pettersson, tell us about the other.
Well, Pat, the situation is this. Dieter Brock has been in the Hamilton hospital since Friday morning with back spasms. He joined the team last night, hasn't practiced in 2 days, so his health at this point is really not known. I talked to Ray Jones, the trainer, before the game. He said Dieter will not be 100%. He didn't look too bad, though, in the warm-up.
Well, there's no question about it that this is the biggest game of the year for both these teams. They're both ready. They both feel they can score a lot of points. And
we'll have the opening kickoff in just...
12-4 on the season. Best record in the Canadian Football League. Ticats won only 5, but here they are. If they win it today, they go to the Grey Cup. With the wind at his back, Alysic puts it deep in the end zone, and Howard Fields on the opening play of the single point. Well, we mentioned that the wind was definitely going to be a factor. It was at Alysic's back, and you saw that he booted that one some
backfield as well.
Hamilton starts from their 35-yard line, first down. Givers to Shepard. And he picks his way to the 40 for a pickup. Brock's first pass complete to Keith Baker. He will step out at the 50-yard line with the first down. Complete to Johnson. And Johnson is into Toronto territory at the 52-yard line.
Johnson.
For a pickup of about 8 yards.
Pat and Leaf, you were talking about the wind, which is a factor. Joe Barnes just came over and asked me what the future is as far as the weather is concerned. Well, it is that it's going to gust to 35 miles an hour, which is even much greater than it is now before the end of the game with heavy rain. So Joe says if that happens, the Argos will be changing some of their offense, he feels.
Thank you, Bill. It is 2nd and 2, Hamilton. The givers to the fullback, Greg Ignola, and he gets good yardage to about the 46. He would like to control the ball as much as possible. This time the handoff goes to Shepard. Flags are down, and so is Shepard at the 42-yard line. So his pickup will be about 4 yards, depending upon the outcome of this. 1st and 5, Hamilton from the Toronto 41-yard line. Rock going deep to a wide-open Shepard. Touchdown, Hamilton. What on the money to Johnny Shepard.
Well, no questions in the stands here. As you saw their reaction, Johnny Shepard just a little out and up down the sidelines. They fooled the Argonaut coverage. Not able to get over in time. Yards into the end zone. I think that shows you how Dieter Brock's back is feeling. He put that ball right on the money.
He threw 3 times. He completed 3 of them for 59 yards with 12 minutes and 20 seconds left to play in this opening quarter. The Ticats have shocked the Argos 7-1. We'll be back.
Tell me what. Well, he sent me on a wheel pattern, and the defensive back came up, and I was able to get behind him and beat him. Dieter threw a good pass.
Well, Dieter didn't show any signs of a bad back on that. Ready. Good for you.
All right.
Townsend finally decides to pick it up inside the 10. He was hoping that the bounce, but Ruoff's ball just died at about the 9-yard line. Townsend then was forced to pick it up because, of course, it's live, and Argos are pinned deep in their own territory. Well, there's a look at how Toronto will start this ball game. Conrad Holloway will start at quarterback for their game. Greer had trouble controlling the ball initially. Cats were able to quickly move over there and contain him to an advance of maybe a yard.
Well, Pat, these fellas are going to have to get some pressure on Conrad Holloway today. Grover Covington leads the team throughout the season in the sack department. Greg Giddy in the ball game. They are going to go with 6 defensive backs, consistently double coverage. Terry Greer will see all.
It is 2nd and 9. Toronto at their 15. Holloway is going deep for Townsend. No good.
A lot of attention to Terry Greer on that play. He drew 3 defenders. Minner does come open down the middle. We'll have to look for that later. I'm sure the spotters up in the booth noticed that, and they'll probably come back.
Pulisic stands at his goal line to boot on 3rd and 9 for Toronto. They trail 7-1. The Cats scored a touchdown on their opening drive. High to the sidelines, and look at this ball. It's back to the 20. Fields gets it up over the 35 to the 37-yard line. But what a tremendous punt of about 80 yards.
Cedric Minner, you have stated that you expect this to be a war today.
I certainly do, and I guess you can see right now the way the game's going. The guys are, Hamilton's pretty fired up, we're pretty fired up, and they're out there really trying to intimidate us right now.
Do you think that this wind will be a factor?
It's definitely a factor, especially on the punt returns. You just saw Hank Olisic boom one, and that ball just carried. Howard Fields couldn't catch it, so that's going to be a definite factor in this game.
Thank you, Cedric.
Thank you.
This is Shepard, and he's wrapped up neatly by Franklin King, number 61. After, well, did he get back to the line of scrimmage? No, not quite.
Well, Cedric Minner makes an excellent point. Hank Olisic didn't even get that ball to turn over, kind of a knuckleball kick, and it still traveled 80 yards, so you really can see the wind will be a factor in this ball game. Johnny Shepard, no running room here as Franklin King made an excellent play.
2nd and 10. Brock going deep for Keith Baker, and it was just knocked away at the final moment by Marcellus Green. Baker for sure thought that he had 6.
Well, Dieter Brock not worrying about the wind as he throws deep into it, and he takes a pretty good shot releasing that football, but Keith Baker in behind Marcellus Green, but at the last second, Green able to tip that ball away.
So Bernie Ruoff will be punting for the first time in this ball game, and he'll be booting it into the wind. Good punt. This is Minter from his 35. And he's out to the 40-yard line. So the Argos will have much better field position for this series of downs. It is Hamilton 7, Toronto 1, with 9:21 left to play in the opening quarter. We'll be back in just a moment.
To them to try and relax themselves in appearances. You're right, Pat. They've done a good job.
First down, Toronto at their 40-yard line. Holloway slips. And then goes down at about the 43-yard line. John Priestner was able to get over and get. Jan Currency, number 27, comes into the ball game to play that fullback spot. John Palazetti is out. It is 2nd and 7, Toronto. They set up the screen to Minter. And Sauve was over there very quickly to drop him at about the 48-yard line, which will leave the Argos short of the first down, and the punting unit comes out on 3rd and 2. Olisic is punting. Mark Young allows it to bounce out of bounds inside the 20-yard line at about the 16. So we'll know in another 52 minutes. First down, Hamilton from their 16. Johnny Shepard, the ball carrier. No place to go because Franklin King hopped on 7, Toronto 1. 2nd and 8, Ticats. Brock going deep again for Baker. He's there. And he's into the Toronto 50-yard line. 42 yards the gain on the pass from Brock to Keith Baker.
The Argonauts came with the blitz, trying to put some extra pressure on Dieter Brock, and when you do that, you're in one-on-one coverage. Keith Baker's as good as there is. A little stop and go had Marcellus Green completely fooled. Of course, the ball hanging up in the air with that deep wind, but what a big play for the Ticats. Gets them excellent field position.
They are at the Toronto 49-yard line with a first down. Brock looking for Johnson just over his head with Leroy Paul providing the defensive coverage. Ron Johnson had 53 receptions on this past season, 6 of them passes so far. Right over the middle, and the ball is dropped by Rocky DiPietro.
One of the advantages, Leaf, of course, is the fact that the Cats with Dieter Brock have one of the few quarterbacks can, as they say, throw holes in the wind. So this strong wind doesn't seem to be...
An indication maybe of the theory of the Argonaut defense. Anytime they get them in second and long, they're going to come after them.
Ruoff booted at 41 yards his previous punt. He puts this one high. Another good boot. Minter will allow it to go into the end zone, and he'll give up the single point. So the Ticats take an 8-1 lead with 5 minutes and 34 seconds left to play in this opening.
Well, we're trying to mix things up. We're playing a little bit of a 4-3 front, and we're mixing it up. And we're trying to change looks on them. Basically what we're doing is we haven't gotten to them yet, and they're zoning off some of our blitzes. So we'll make some adjustments, come after them harder.
In other words, you're trying to get to Brock.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the name of the game, get to the quarterback.
Especially when he's been hurt.
Well, it doesn't matter. He looks healthy to me, so we just have to go get him.
Thanks, Ken.
First down, Toronto from their 35. Holloway puts it up looking for Greer, and he is not able to make the catch. Neatly broken up by Mike McIntyre and Mark Young.
Boy, it appeared as there was no way Terry Greer would be able to even have an attempt at this ball, but watch the effort he makes. He has it in his hands and just could not come up with a big catch there, but that shows you how elusive he can be.
So it'll be 2nd and 10, Toronto, with 5 minutes left to play in this opening quarter, and Hamilton out in front, 8-1. Was intended for Greer, no good. Broken up by Howard Fields. There is a penalty on the play, and it is against the Argos.
Holding. Toronto number 69. Decline. Third down.
Punting situation.
Well, there's Dan Ferroni. You see him holding, but boy, are they giving Terry Greer a rough ride trying to get downfield. They're bumping him, trying to knock him off his pattern. There's Howard Fields, comes up and gives him a chuck and then makes the play. So far on both sides of the football, the Hamilton Tiger Cats have been very sharp in this first quarter.
Howard Fields and Mark Young are back to receive. This will be Mark Young from his 30. And he gets to about the 39-yard line with 4 minutes and 14 seconds left to play in the opening quarter. It is Hamilton 8, Toronto 1, and we'll be back.
You're doing a good job into that way. You're keeping it low. I have to. You know, everybody forgets I played in Winnipeg for 5 years. In Winnipeg, you don't go out and play without a win. I've been lucky both times now. The wind's died down a little bit just before I kicked it. And hopefully, maybe it's our turn today.
There's some pockets in there that aren't as windy, isn't there?
No, midfield 30. The far end zone is really tough. If you get down to this end, it's a little bit easier.
Bernie, you guys are really fired up.
We got to be. This is our shot. Respectability. This is our shot. Good luck.
The first down pass intended for Scott Colley sails out of bounds, so it'll be 2nd and 10, Hamilton. Over the middle to a wide open Johnny Shepard. Shepard gets the first down across the 50 to about the 52-yard line. Marcellus Green finally brought him down. 12 yards, the gain on the pass from Brock to Johnny Shepard.
Well, once again, the Argonauts get caught in a blitz, and Carl Bracely has a shot to bring him down short of the first down marker, but Johnny Shepard, the elusive back that he is able to pick up that first down. And, you know, I'm talking to Bob Aguilovich, he said the key was to try and destroy the rhythm of Dieter Brock. They're trying to blitz, but they're getting caught.
Again, over the middle to Bragignola. And he is inside Toronto territory, very close to the first down marker. If they spot it at the 49, he may have the first down and appears to have done so.
Mark just does a super job to get that extra yardage. What a move he put on William Mitchell. We'll see now if he was able to pick up that first down, but What a psychological lift for the Ticats going against this wind to be able to control the football the way they are.
We're down to 2:47 left to play in the opening quarter. It is a Hamilton first down. The ball is spotted just inside the Toronto 49-yard line.
A little welcome to the ball game for Dieter Brock by James Curry, but good second effort by Mark Argonauts.
The pass from center was bobbled and then dropped. Fortunate to get the ball back is sacked by Earl Wilson.
I'll tell you what, I thought James Curry was trying to remove Dieter's helmet on that play, and he sure did. There's no question the Argonaut front four, they know what they have to do to be successful in the ball game. They have to get to that fellow right there.
Looking for Ron Johnson, who's wide open and has it at the 27-yard line. Leroy Paul finally brings him down, but Johnson was wide open. 33 yards to gain on the pass from Brock to Ron Johnson.
An excellent move by Ron Johnson to get open. Once again, Dieter Brock paying the price on those completions as he takes a shot from Rick Moore, but what an excellent pattern by Ron Johnson. Turn Leroy Paul around, and well, I'm just so impressed with the way they've come out here in the first quarter.
Pat, I think that wind is increasing as the weatherman said it would. It seems to be getting stronger as this game progresses.
First down, Ticats. Brock's pass to Keith Baker. He has it at the 5. And Green brings him down at the 3.5-yard line. Dieter Brock is just picking this Argo defense apart.
Well, Pat, he's being hit after he's throwing the football, but the line is giving him that initial protection, and his receivers are doing an excellent job of getting open. They've really got the defensive backs guessing now. Keith Baker totally wide open against Marcellus Green.
First and touchdown to go. Johnny Shepard, the ball carrier. Touchdown, Hamilton. There is a flag on the play. The touchdown will stand.
Offside. Toronto number 76. Decline.
Rick Moore was offside, and the Ticats in this opening quarter going against the wind have upped their lead to 14-1.
Now just sheer determination as Johnny Shepard runs over number 13, Darrell Wilson, into the end zone with his second touchdown in the first quarter.
Ruoff's point after is good. Ross Francis is the injured Ticat as we look at Shepard again.
Johnny Shepard so elusive when he gets that football. The Ticats going to an unbalanced line. They put an extra lineman over on that right side. They got the blocking. There's the recipient of that roughing penalty Pat told you about. It'll be called against Earl Wilson. He just out and out took a cheap shot at number 54 there, Ross Francis. And already you see the score 15-1 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and maybe the Argonauts are losing their poise a little early in the ballgame to be doing that.
Referee John Ireland is huddling with his officials. They'll sort it out. And if, in fact, they do get a 15-yard penalty, it'll certainly help out Bernie Ruoff's kick into the wind.
Well, maybe this will help to relax Alberno a little bit. A 14-point lead.
Rough play. Disqualification. Toronto number 74.
That is their defensive end, James Curry, whom they acquired from the BC Lions. He started the season, and now you can see Bob Obilovich talking to him on the sidelines, and he can't be too pleased about this turn of events.
My apologies to Earl Wilson. He was the last one I saw in that pileup, but it's James Curry. And boy, does that ever hurt a team. You know, you just don't carry that many extra players to have to try and replace someone who's not lost because of an injury, but because of a stupid situation such as this.
And look where Ruoff will kick from, the Toronto 40-yard line.
Well, how about an onside kick right here?
Well, it would be a good place to try it.
They're at the Toronto
It really
40
would,
yard line.
It really would. They've got the Argos reeling a little bit. The Tiger Cats are really fired up.
Yeah, here it is.
Call. Jan Carinci does get hold of the ball at the 19-yard line.
Well, that's still an excellent play.
Absolutely, because they start inside their 20, and the Ticats certainly had an opportunity to get it.
I don't know if you noticed, Pat and Leaf, but while they were lining up or just going up before that kickoff, the Hamilton players, at least a half a dozen, were pointing at the Argo bench and yelling at them, and the rivalry, or maybe it should be called enmity, is really becoming intense between these two teams.
Well, Bill, Carl Braisley was quoted in the papers earlier saying there was no comparison. Their secondary was so much better than the Ticats, but it's been the Argonauts secondary that's been victimized here in the first quarter.
Argos start from their 19-yard line. Pass complete to Minter, and he is tripped up by Felix Wright.
Pat, I thought it was interesting when Bernie Ruoff told me the Tiger Cats are fighting for respectability today. I'd say so far so good.
And not too much argument there. You're right, Al.
Well,
There's Dieter Brock on the phones upstairs.
Well, this looks more like the run and shoot we were accustomed to seeing last year.
They're going to kick on second down because they want this field position. Olisic stands back to punt on 2nd and 2. The flag is down. Mark Young gets it to about the 38-yard line. Now there are flags down on the field. Penalty is against the Ticats, so the Argos, if they elect to do so, will retain possession of the ball. Possession at their 37-yard line. Wide open is Minter at midfield, and he drops the football. And so the gun sounds to end the first quarter of play. Hamilton is out in front of the Toronto Argonauts 15-1. We'll return with the second quarter in a moment. Supporters, and they're shocked because the Ticats lead us 15-1. As we start the second quarter, Toronto has 2nd and 10 from their 37. Holloway's pass complete to Paul Pearson, and he gets to midfield for a Toronto first down. Only their second of the ball game.
Now, this is the key in a game of this stature. If you can give your quarterback the time to throw, they'll complete some passes. That time, the Argonaut offensive line does an excellent job. Paul Pearson able to get open, really because they're paying so much attention to Terry Greer. There you see it. They're going to play him tough at the line of scrimmage. Mark Streeter knows he's got help deep.
First down, Toronto at midfield. And Holloway slides down for another first down at the Hamilton 40. Well, they covered the receivers so completely that it all opened up for Holloway, and he just sauntered down to the 40.
Well, Pat, what can happen now with this 4 down lineman, 2 linebacker, and 6 defensive back scheme is there could be a lot of room to run for the quarterback when everybody drops back in pass coverage. So Holloway's got to do what he just did right there.
Plus the fact that Leo Ezrin slipped down, and that enabled that entire area to open up for him. Give us to Cedric Minter. And Minter is inside the 35 to about the 33. Stop made there by Grover Covington, the defensive end, number 77. Well, look at the time of possession. That tells you everything you want to know. Over 2-1 in favor of the Ticats, and look at the offense, 195 to 17.
Isn't it strange, though, how Toronto, having so much difficulty with the wind, is now beginning to put together some kind of drive when they're going against it.
They've got a 2nd and 4 right now. Jeff Townsend. And Townsend is inside the 15-yard line to about the 14. Brought down by Mike Walker, the defensive tackle, number 61. The gain is good for 19 yards. And actually, he is down at the 14-yard line. Balsetti goes out. Jan Carinci is in. First down, Toronto at the Hamilton 14. Holloway dives to about the 10-yard line, so he'll pick up 4.
Well, that's the extra dimension with a team that has a running quarterback. The screen pass was not there. He had to take off and run with it. He picked up 5 yards.
Ball is just inside the 10-yard line of the Ticats, who lead this ball game 15-1 here early in the second quarter. Paul Pearson goes in motion. The give is to Jan Carinci, but there are flags down. Now, was it Toronto with an illegal procedure call? I believe it is. That's the call.
Oh, what a big penalty that is.
Somebody on the left side.
Procedure. Toronto number 50. Second down repeated.
Tom Trefo, number 50, on the left side. He's the left tackle, moved a little early. So make it 2nd and 10.5 yards to go. Toronto, the ball at about the 15-yard line.
Well, you just saw it in the bottom of your screen. Trefo jumping a little early.
Paul Pearson, touchdown. And the Argos come back. A fine throw from Conrad Holloway to Paul Pearson.
Fans came to see here at Exhibition Stadium. The Argonauts finally getting on the board here in the second quarter. Strangely enough, going against the wind once again.
The point after Bialisic is good. Well, let's take a look at it one more time, Leaf. The pass from Holloway to Pearson.
Well, not the best pass that Holloway's ever thrown, but very effective as Paul Pearson's able to work himself free in the end zone, high in the air, and a great catch.
So it is now Hamilton 15, Toronto 8. We'll be back in just a moment. The last time that Bob Palcic had his offensive line around him, they obviously got the message because the Argos put their best drive of the game together. Now the kickoff by Alisic bounces down and out of bounds at the 5-yard line. So he'll have to do it again. Well, the Argos led all of Canada in victories this year with 12. They got off to a disastrous start as Hamilton really controlled the ball against them. Jumped up to that 15-1 lead, but the Argos appear to have settled down somewhat right now. It'll be interesting to see if their defense, which really has not played well in the early part of this ball game, can do what the offense did and get their act together.
You know, Pat, one of the keys to that scoring drive, too, was the fact that the Argos had elected to kick on that second down play for field position. The Ticats were called for too many men on the field. Argonauts got the ball back, and they took it down for the touchdown. So a penalty, once again, hurting the Ticats.
That's who scored it, Paul Pearson, to culminate a 91-yard drive.
Well, they've got great balance in that Argonaut receiving core. Pearson, Tolbert, Greer, and Townsend, they're a good group.
Ball bounces beyond John Priestner to John Shepard. And he slips down at the 25-yard line. Don Moan covered him there. But the Ticats will be starting with their worst field position of the ball game.
Well, they'll be cheering in Campbell River, the land of the big fish, the humpback in the Tri-East. Paul Pearson, you made quite a catch there.
Well, I was just kind of scrambling around, and Connors managed to find me, so it just worked out real well. That's sort of a credit to the quarterback.
Hey, the situation seems to be you're going better against the wind than with it.
Yeah, both teams are, but we're going to get a chance to beat it with the wind. I'm a little concerned.
Argos switch to a 3-man front, and that enables Bragignola to burst out of there to the 40-yard line. With James Curry having been ejected from the ball game, the Argos have gone to a three-man front.
Well, that's just excellent play selection by Dieter Brock. Of course, everybody in the park assuming he will throw now that he's with the wind. Little draw play to Braganola, picking up excellent yardage and a first down.
They spot the ball at the 38-yard line. First down, Ticats at that point. Johnny Shepard. And Shepard is out over the 40 to about the 43 for a pickup of 5.
Well, Don Moen, who's into the ball game now because of that three-man front, number 36, he's the one that made the tackle. But this is not a defense that they would like to be in. They want to have that front four. They no longer can do that with Curry out of the ball game.
2nd and 5. Hamilton with 9 minutes, 45 seconds left to play in the first half. Ticats lead it 15-8. Brock's throw is complete to DiPietro for the first down at the 53-yard line.
Well, you can really see the evidence of that ejection to James Curry. Only with a three-man rush, they just don't get any pressure on Dieter Brock. And Rocky DiPietro, he can get himself open, and he does right there. And the Argonauts are going to have to bring a couple of linebackers now to try and get to Dieter Brock and at least get somebody in his face and try and distract him.
Brock has been good on 9 of 13 for 190 yards. Brock gets it away at the last moment to Johnny Shepard. A flag comes down.
Johnny Shepard and Darrell Nicholson, the middle linebacker, were having a little set to going down the sidelines. Let's see which way they call this one.
They call a pass interference against the Argonauts.
Forward pass interference. Toronto number 2. First down.
Now, Nick Volpe, our isolation director, has Johnny Shepard, and I think the official meant number 72 because you see Darrell Nicholson really grabbing a hold of Shepard. It was then that the official threw the flag.
Ball is spotted just on the Hamilton side of midfield. First down. Rivers to Shepard. Shepard has another Hamilton first down into Argo territory at the 44-yard line. 12 yards to pick up by the Eastern Conference's outstanding first-year man, Johnny Shepard.
Watch number 53, Jeff Arp, the guard, pulling on the play. An excellent block on William Mitchell. Ken McEachran cannot make the tackle. Johnny Shepard, just a great run.
As a matter of fact, he rushed for 1,069 yards this season. And this is Shepard again. He bounces his way inside the 40 to about the 39-yard line. He'll have a pickup of 5.
You know, Pat, I thought I knew something about football. Here's a team going into the wind, and all they did was throw. Now they're going with the wind. All they're doing is running. They got me totally confused today.
As Paul Pearson said, too, as you heard Leaf, he said, I'm a little worried about what Dieter Brock may do with the wind.
Well, he's certainly got Toronto's defense fooled. They're not sure what's coming.
2nd and 5. Again, the give is to Shepard. Again, he has the first down and lots more to the 25-yard line as Ken McEachran finally brought him down.
Now, the Hamilton Tiger Cat offensive line has taken a lot of probably undue criticism this season, but they've just done an excellent job giving Dieter Brock the time to throw and now opening some holes for Johnny Shepard, number 53, Jeff Arp. Harv Alamang, number 63, they're all doing an excellent job up front.
They bring Tony Lawson into the ball game and go back to a 4-man front now. Looking for Ron Johnson, and it just went through his hands. Leroy Paul tried to go up and bat it away, but the ball got beyond him, and Johnson couldn't bring it down.
Well, Ron Johnson, you saw him there. He knew he should have had that one. Leroy Paul gambled, and he missed, and Johnson, boy, he'd like to have that one over again. Shows you, though, Dieter Brock, he's on target today, isn't he?
Looking very sharp. That's Joe Moss. At one time, an interim head coach of the Argos, talking things over with his linebacker, Don Moen. Brock's throw into the middle to Braganola. And he's down to about the 12-yard line for another first down. William Mitchell brought him down at that point. But the Ticats are on the move again with 6.5 minutes left to play in the first half.
Argo's gone back to that four-man line. Tony Lawson had him wrapped up, but he's able to get the ball off to Mark Draganola. What an impressive drive they put together.
Ticats 15, Argonauts 8. First down, Hamilton at the Toronto 12-yard line. Touchdown, Hamilton. Scott Colley comes up with the reception of Dieter Brock's touchdown pass. From Brigham Young University, Scott Colley had only 2 touchdowns during the regular season, but he comes up with a big one here this afternoon.
Now we wondered about his back condition. You can see right here, no problem. Scott Colley in behind number 13, Darrell Wilson, and he makes the easy catch for the 13-yard touchdown. And I'm just so impressed with the way the Ticats have prepared themselves for this football game. They've just done an outstanding job. It's always fun to be in that underdog role, though. You come in kind of loose, and I was at the practice a couple of days ago. They were loose and loved the position they were in, and they're sure showing it.
You know, Leaf, I think that we have got a sellout crowd. I mean, looking around the stadium, I don't see one open seat, and I see fans on the outside trying to look over from rooftops, etc. So this could be a complete sellout of over 54,000. Al?
I got Scott Colley down here at the sideline. Scott, congratulations. You were completely covered, I thought, in that play.
Well, I guess it was. I just thought I cleared the man, and then they converged on me. It's a good throw by Dieter. The wind hung the ball up. So I had to kind of stop for it, and I got it.
That was a heck of a drive. Helped by Dieter throwing that little short pass when he was under pressure. To Argonauts.
That's what it takes to win, and we're wanting to win.
I've never seen a team as prepared as you guys are. You're doing a job defensively on guys like Greer, but your offense is just going both ways, with or against.
Hey, we were ready to play. We proved that in the past 2 games we've been playing to get here. And they might have been looking past us, but they aren't looking past us anymore.
And I guess not. Bernie Ruoff said you're looking for respectability. I'd say you got that already.
I guess so.
Congratulations,
Thanks.
Scott.
Can I say something? Hi, Gert.
Certainly.
Well, that's Marv Alamang coming off the field under his own steam now. But, you know, on that drive, statistician Bobby Layden points out that Hamilton had 5 rushing plays, 3 passes. Brock so far this afternoon has been good on 11 of 16, 216 yards, and 2 touchdowns. As Bernie Ruoff adds the point after, and the Hamilton Ticats have taken that 14-point lead again. It is Hamilton 22, Toronto 8. We'll be back in just a moment.
When Apple invented the personal computer, we were all alone in the world. But soon it seemed that everybody was trying to build a better Apple. Well, somebody finally did. Lisa from Apple. So advanced it puts us right back where we started. Alone again. Soon there'll be just 2 kinds of people. Those who use computers and those who use apples.
At the end of the ball game, we'll have the Carling O'Keefe offensive and defensive game stars for you. And right now, well, Dieter Brock certainly has to be a consideration, but that entire Hamilton unit, both offensively and defensively, have really played well. Townsend allows the ball to bounce into the end zone, and he picks it up and concedes the single point. So now the Hamilton lead is 15 points. But you're going to see a lot of that. Of course, it happened on the opening kickoff, too. Hank Olisic booted it into the end zone, and the teams are obviously wise in conceding the single and getting out to the 35.
Tell you one thing, Pat, the Hamilton fans won't be popping the champagne corks yet if they saw the Vanier Cup yesterday. That one really turned around.
That was a great football game, and congratulations to Pete Cannellan and the University of Calgary Dinosaurs, and thanks to Queens for a tremendous game. First down, Toronto at the 35-yard line. Jeff Townsend. Robinson is into Hamilton territory at the 53-yard line. They just blank him out there, throw the screen, and he picks his way into Hamilton territory.
Well, he'll get an excellent block from number 69, Dan Ferroni, on Gerald Bess, and then Tony Atunovic out in front. But they had success already with that play earlier in the second quarter. When things are going well for you, you stick with those plays.
23 yards the gain down to the Hamilton 52-yard line. The screen to Minter. And Minter fights his way to the 38-yard line for another Toronto first down. John Priestner, the middle linebacker, finally halted him. But this is the kind of game we expected.
Now there's Minter faking the block, sneaking out. He gets a block out in front, number 44, Mike Hamilton. And then good second effort. The Argonauts back-to-back first downs.
Pick up 14 yards on the play. They have it at the Hamilton 38-yard line. Jan Carinci. And Carinci is inside the 35 to about the 33 as he fortunately was able to duck under that forearm blow by Leo Ezrins.
What they do, Pat, is they put 4 receivers to the wide side of the field, single receiver back, and they're hoping to get a little split in the linebacking coverage, but Leo Ezrins comes up and makes just a heck of a hit on Jan Carinci there. That's the play they scored the touchdown on that was called back because of illegal procedure.
Ball is just inside the 34-yard line. It is 2nd and 6. Pass is complete to Townsend again, and he's inside the 25 for another Toronto first down. Mark Streeter brought him down. Now we've got a penalty on the play, and they bring the chains back. They had already moved them. Procedure call against the Argos. So instead of a first down, it'll be 2nd and long. Back at the 39-yard line.
Procedure, Toronto, no end. 2nd down repeat.
Argos didn't have enough men on the line of scrimmage, so the penalty makes it 2nd and 10.
Boy, that hurts. Already one penalty's cost them a touchdown, and now that illegal procedure penalty cost them a first down.
Hamilton 23, Toronto 8. 2nd and 10 Argos at the Hamilton 39. Holloway's pass is complete to the 23-yard line for a first down to Emmanuel Tolbert, his first catch of the afternoon.
Well, when you give Condredge Holloway time to throw like that and direct his traffic, you're going to have some success. Emmanuel Tolbert just moves around until he finds an opening.
So with 3 minutes and 3 seconds left to play in the first half, Hamilton continues to lead the Argonauts 23-8, and we'll be back in just a moment. Earl Bubba Wilson talking things over with Joe Moss, the assistant coach of the Toronto Argonauts. The Argos with a first down at their Hamilton 23-yard line. Under 3 minutes left to play in the first half. The screen to Minter, but he had no place to go because moving up very quickly was the safety, Mike McIntyre.
It's interesting, Pat. The Argonauts have done something a little different now in the second quarter. Terry Greer has moved in on some formations and running out of that slot back position, maybe trying to get away from that double coverage the Ticats are using.
On the screen pass, the Argos actually lost a half yard, so it's 2nd and a long 10. Holloway under pressure, gets it away to Greer, touchdown. Oh, Terry Greer did a good job. He had to turn both ways to get the ball.
Conrad Holloway applauding Terry Greer's effort on that play. What a tremendous reaction to the football turning around. But I just mentioned he's running out of that slot back position. That's where he was on this play. Single coverage. That's what happens.
Hank point after to come. It is good. So now the Hamilton lead has been cut. It is Hamilton 23, Toronto 15. We'll be back in a moment. Dave Graffey takes the Hank Alyssa kickoff and gets it out over the 40 to about the 43-yard line, so that's where the Ticats will begin. The score now, Hamilton 23, Toronto 15, 2 minutes, 22 seconds left to play in the first half. Johnny Shepard, the ball carrier, nowhere to go. Shepard did a good job to get a couple of yards because he was completely closed off on the initial play. He reversed his field and was able to get to the 45-yard line before William Mitchell, the linebacker, brought him down.
Pat, it is now starting to spit just a little bit. That rain that was predicted by the weatherman has started very lightly.
Now Ken McEachran does an excellent job to force that play back the other way, and then William Mitchell cleans up.
Keith Baker makes the catch for the first down at the Toronto 54-yard line.
Hey, that's just a great catch, keeping those feet in bounds high in the air. He knew he was going to take a shot from Marcellus Green, but nevertheless, he was able to concentrate and hang on to that football, and with a minute and 55 seconds left, they have plenty of time to move it downfield and add to their 23-15 lead.
Baker has caught 4 passes for 87 yards this afternoon. He had 66 on the regular season. This one goes to Shepard, and Shepard is inside the Toronto 50 at about the 48-yard line. Franklin King made the stop for the Argos, number 61.
Leaf, you mentioned earlier that Terry Greer came out in a different formation. That created a Hamilton defensive meeting a moment ago. They're obviously concerned that Greer is starting to fool them a little bit. They had him bottled up, but he got away on them. They're going to try to cure that.
Well, that's right, Al. They're going to have to make some adjustments now. Toronto's changed their offensive formations around.
2nd and 3. The pass is picked off by Marcellus Green, who stepped in front of Rocky DiPietro at the 43-yard line. A fine interception by Marcellus Green, and it comes with a minute 29 seconds left to play in the half. The injured Argonaut is Earl Wilson, number 58, but Marcellus Green is a happy young man.
Well, there haven't been many big defensive plays here in the first half, but what a tremendous effort by Marcellus Green on that play, anticipating stepping in front of Rocky DiPietro. And now with the minute 29, the Argonauts still have some time to move that ball downfield.
There was movement along the offensive line. Holloway kept it himself, but Tom Trefo, the left tackle, definitely moved. The option, of course, belongs to Hamilton. Do they want his gain of 3 yards to stand? Or do they want to force the Argos back? And that's what they're going to do. 5-yard penalty. Will spot the ball at the 38-yard line. 1st and 15.
Illegal procedure. Toronto number 50. First down repeated.
Well, that's his second procedure penalty here in the first half. Really no excuse for that. So once again, here's Terry Greer lined up in that slot back position. Let's see if Hamilton has made an adjustment to that.
Holloway's pass goes to Tolbert, who makes a sensational play. He bobbled the ball momentarily and then stepped out of bounds at the 45-yard line of the Ticats. A minute 17 left on the clock to play in this second quarter. The 27-yard gain gives Toronto possession at the Hamilton 45.
Little juggling act, but what a great reception. Once again, Hamilton changed. They're double covering Greer, and this just leaves a tremendous amount of room in the middle for Tolbert to work himself free.
Inside the 40 to about the 38-yard line. A good job by Cedric Minter. He was going to throw a block on John Priester, but he realized it would have been a clip, so he held up.
It sure looked like there was a little more running room for Holloway than what he picked up. Only 7 yards in that play. It appeared as though he might be able to go a lot further than that.
A minute left to play in the second quarter as Carinci comes in. Palazetti goes out. Second down, 3 yards to go. Minter makes the catch and is down at the 13-yard line. Holloway threw it on a rope. The Argos are at the Hamilton 12.5-yard line with 45 seconds left to play in the first half.
Pat, once again, the key, Holloway having the time and the protection to throw that football. When you've got that amount of time, most receivers are going to work themselves free. Cedric Minter was able to do so.
26 yards the gain. The clock is running. 35 left to play in the half. First down, Toronto. Holloway to the end zone, over the head of Terry Greer. It stops the clock with 24 seconds.
Oh, what a first half this has been.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, we saw a great Vanier Cup yesterday, seeing a tremendous Eastern final here in Toronto this afternoon. 24 seconds remaining. Second and 10. A lot of offense today.
That's the first incompletion by Conrad Holloway in his last 10 attempts. He has completed 13 of 18. Looking for Tolbert. He couldn't make the catch. He was in behind Felix Wright. But he tried to one-hand it and couldn't do so. So Hank Kalisic and the field goal unit comes out onto the field with 18 seconds left to play in this second quarter.
Well, the key thing, if Kalisic is successful on this field goal, the key thing is they have taken advantage of that Marcellus Green interception and possibly being able to turn this into some points with an Kalisic field goal.
It will come from the 19-yard line. And it is wide, but it goes for a single point. So the Argos have drawn to within a converted touchdown, but the Ticats have to be pleased at the turn of events that saw them slam the door on the Argos when it looked as though they were going in for a major score.
From 19 yards, you assume that that's automatic, but I guess we can't take those things for granted. There you see it, 23-16.
I'll tell you, Leaf, a club that's getting a lot of pride out of this is the defensive squad of Hamilton. They only had one Eastern All-Star to the Argos 8, and they played extremely well.
Peter Brock will not play games here. He'll just take the ball and ground it. He drops back to his own 31-yard line, and 10 seconds now show on the clock.
Well, Bill, you're right. When your record's 5-10-1, you're not going to have too many guys on that Eastern All-Star team.
That's true, but they're not playing like a club that won only 5 games, nor have they in the past 2 or 3 games this year.
Boy, that's for sure.
There's Joe Barnes talking it over with Conrad Holloway. And, you know, it was funny. Bob Obilovich was saying what a great asset it is to have Barnes on the sidelines because he's right into the game. As Brock drowns the ball once again, and the first half comes to an end. The Hamilton Tiger Cats lead the Toronto Argonauts 23-16. In a moment, yesterday in the CFL with Anna Stukas.
While Atari keeps trying to sell you new systems, with ColecoVision you only need one system, because ColecoVision expands to give you a Super Action controller set with Super Action Baseball, a driving module with turbo, an expansion module to play all Atari 2600 games, and only ColecoVision expands to become Atom, the complete family computer system. Plus, you get $200 in vacation savings certificates if you buy ColecoVision now. Sorry, Atari.
If one was asked to pick the all Mr. Everything in Canadian football, you'd have to rank Anna Stukas as high or higher than anybody else in the history of the Canadian game. He played every position in the backfield. He revived and rebuilt 2 football teams, and he promoted the game above and beyond the call of duty. He was a coach, a player, a builder, elected to the Hall of Fame in 2 categories, a writer, broadcaster. He was everything. There was only one Big Stu.
From 1935 to 41, Anna Stukas played over 6 positions with the Toronto Argonauts as they made the Eastern Finals 5 out of 6 years and won the Grey Cup in 37 and 38. From 1942 to 47, he played and coached with Balmy Beach, Oakwood, and the Toronto Indians, and the York Bulldogs. In 1947, Stuk returned to his typewriter with the Toronto Star, but not for long, as the city of Edmonton asked him to build a team for them. He did, and before leaving the Eskimos in 1951, they had the nucleus of a team that would win Grey Cups from 1954 to 1956. We talked with Stuk about football and more in BC, where he now works in broadcasting.
Backers keep on dropping off. That quarterback's going to run for 500 yards tonight.
Oh, that's good. Hold us, Duke. You were saying that 30 years ago when you came out here to open this place and build a new team, and you were saying it 15 years ago when we did our last football show together.
Hey, was it only that long ago?
That's right. Tell me, you stayed in more positions, played more positions, and more football teams than anybody else. Which one was the most significant to you?
Well, as a player, I like quarterback. When I got into the management end, coaching. It's a muck racket, and it's heartbreaking. But I should have been a general manager. General managers don't get fired.
1935 to 1941, you won a lot of football games. You won 2 Grey Cup games. After the war, you came back, tried to make Balmy Beach and Toronto Indians amalgamate. You couldn't. Did that force you back into writing?
No, I was always in newspaper writing. You know, I was one of those jocks who was a newspaper man first and happened to be a football player. I stayed at the paper asked me to retire. I retired a couple of years ahead of time and sat back there and had the most fun in the world, telling the coaches how it should be done.
2 years later, Edmonton came calling. Now, did they have to coax very long to get you to take that job?
Johnny, it would take an hour to you know, a chapter in the whole book to tell what happened there. It was one of those darn things, and it was something I had to do. I quit a job I'd been at for 20 years to take a 1-year contract because the Star at that time wouldn't give me a leave of absence. Eventually, they did.
Did you convince Edmonton that you were a good coach, or did they want you because they knew you could deliver Doug Pizer, Don Durno, Bill Zock, Frankie Morris, and the rest of those Toronto guys?
When it comes down to it, the job was up for grabs between me and American, and the reason I got it was, in those days, you only had 5 imports. They had to get somebody that could find the Canadians. I knew where they were.
The Dobbs era was followed by Kwong and Bright, the Jackie Parker eras, and you left football. You went back to writing, but I don't believe you ever really left the game. Then along came the British Columbia Lions. Now, how much coaxing did they have to do?
Yes, they had to talk to me. Johnny, I'd had so much of coaching. I had gone through 3 years of blood, sweat, and tears to build something from nothing. Was happy, had proved to myself that I could coach, which is what a guy wants to do. I came out to Vancouver to tell the BC Lions, leave me alone. I gave them a 9 foolscap brief on how to start a football team. The damn thing was worth $100,000. I gave it to them for free to leave me alone. But I'd never been to Vancouver. And I phoned Doris that night. I said, Doris, I found out why they built the Rocky Mountains, so we Easterners wouldn't find out about BC. I'm afraid I was hooked.
That first BC team was a disaster on the field, but their fan appeal was great. Even though the Lions lost 11 of 12 games, Stuk was a promotional genius
and the club saw a profit of $73,000 on a bright horizon. Stuke left the club in 1955 with a 5-11 record and $300,000 in the bank. In 1961, Coach of the Year honors became the Anna Stukas Trophy. And in 1974, Stukas the Builder was inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame.
What would you like to see for Canadian football down the road, Stuke?
One thing, leave it alone. Just leave the game alone. Remember, a couple of years ago, we got to have 4 downs. We got to get the offense. Look what the offense has been doing the last 3 or 4 years. And one more thing. Let's get on top of the officiating. Maybe cut out 3 of them. Let's go back to 3 officials. Stop throwing those flags. Let the guys play football. Stop calling those plays away from the play that didn't interfere with it. They didn't come to watch the officials. They came to watch the football players.
Was it more significant to you that you helped add new imports to the Canadian football, that you started 2 brand new teams in Canadian football, or that you got East and West together finally?
I think the most important part was getting the 2 leagues together. In Edmonton, we forced the West and the East to come together because in those days there was no standard contract. In the middle of the season, if I needed a Canadian, I just went to Argos or to Hamilton or to Ottawa, Montreal and say, hey, I'll give you more money, come on out west and play football. Did that often enough where they had together, and this is one of the things I'm proud of. I pulled the country, how about that, pulled the 2 leagues together.
Looking back at your 50 years in football, what did you get out of it?
What did I get out of it? Johnny, the game was pretty good to me. It helped me in my newspaper business, helped me work with you, I gave back something, and not too many guys get a chance to give back something that was very good to them.
Anna Stukas, a legend in Canadian football, yesterday in the CFL.
The CFL this week, and this is Bill Stevenson back along with Al McCann, and Al, we can look forward, I think, to a great game coming up to that Western final.
I'll tell you, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they've overcome adversity all year long. Quite a story with Cal Murphy, you know, and last week, of course, they were again in the spotlight as they ended the Eskimos' reign of terror convincingly with a 49-22 victory, knocking the Eskimos out of contention, and in the process, the Bombers swept the Rothman Stars of the week. Who else? Quarterback Tom Clements was the top man. He was just superb with 21 completed passes for 445 yards and 3 touchdowns, pinpoint sharp as the Blue Bombers had it all their own way in qualifying for the Western Final, and no doubt about the fact that Tommy Clements, number 2, was the offensive star for Rothman. His offensive center, number 43, John Bonk, came up with another outstanding game, anchoring that fine Winnipeg front wall and providing lots of protection for Clements, the lineman of the week, John Bonk. As far as defense was concerned, it was number 20, Donovan Rose. He completed the Bomber package with a knockdown and a key interception as Winnipeg dominated the Stars for the 2nd time this season.
From the Rothman Stars, it's only appropriate that we go to the Player of the Year for the Toronto Argonauts. Nobody else, of course, but Terry Greer. To make the presentation, Rick Scully, who is the marketing director for Carling O'Keefe. Rick?
Terry, on behalf of Carling O'Keefe Breweries and the people at Carlsberg, it's my great pleasure to present you with the Carlsberg Argonaut Player of the Year Award for outstanding season.
All right, thanks a lot, Rick. I really appreciate this. This is going to have a lot to do with our team's success that we've had this year. It's been a great feeling. I feel even that much more better because of the fact that we have had success, and it's a real good feeling. I'd just like to say thank you to all my teammates, coaching staff, and the Carlsberg people, and all the many fans that's really inspired me to do as well as I had this year.
Terry Greer, our congratulations. You have just had a standout year, the Player of the Year for the Toronto Argonauts. Thank you, Terry Greer.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
All right, Terry.
All right.
Friday night, the Shenley Awards were presented. The Eastern Division Rookie of the Year for the Frank M. Gibson Trophy was Johnny Shepard of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. This Livingston University grad has been quite a story. He rushed 197 times for 1,069 yards, 6th in the East in receiving, 2nd in kickoff returns, Rookie of the Year in the East. It is Johnny Shepard. The Leo Dandurand Memorial Trophy was next. It was presented to the Offensive Lineman of the Year, Ottawa's Rudy Phillips. Rudy is the second double winner of the Lyman Award, emulating his former teammate Val Belcher. He's an all-star for the second year, and great blocking, one of the reasons that Skip Walker has had such success with Ottawa this season. The defensive player, another Ottawa player, James Caffrey Award, went to Greg Marshall, the superlative defensive end, an all-star the last 3 years. He led the Eastern Conference in sacks, 16.5 this year. Greg Marshall, defensive player. The Lou Heyman Trophy for the Canadian Player of the Year went to Denny Ferdinand of Montreal Concord. A Montreal junior grad, he went 603 yards for 5 touchdowns and led the Eastern Conference in kickoff returns and improved greatly during the second half. But the Jeff Russell Memorial Trophy, the #1, the most valuable player, Terry Greer, who rewrote the pass receiving record book. His most significant, 2,003 yards, shattering Hal Patterson's record, and 113 receptions.
And Bill, what a treat for the fans next week as we wrap it all up in Vancouver. The Grey Cup replay from '82, the big parade, and all of the festivities of the Grey Cup game. It should be lots of fun. The CFL on CTV continues in just a moment.
They've turned the lights on here at Exhibition Stadium as the rain has now begun to fall. The umbrellas are up. The rain gear is out, but it's been a heck of a first half. 23-16, Hamilton leads it. Let's see some of the big plays, Leaf.
Well, Pat, there's no question. We wondered how the Ticats would maybe start off in this ball game, Eastern final and everything, but they gave us a great indication on their very first possession, a 41-yard touchdown pass to Johnny Shepard down the sidelines, getting in behind the defensive back Darrell Wilson. 2 possessions later, Johnny Shepard again, this time running the ball into the end zone. The Ticats jumped out to an early 15-1 lead at this point. The Argonauts, however, they came back too. It took them until the second quarter. Looks like we're having a little technical difficulty. We have the play now for you. Not a great pass by Holloway. Nevertheless, Paul Pearson able to make the catch. But, you know, the Ticats just come right back. Excellent play selection by Dieter Brock. Another drive culminates in the 13-yard touchdown reception by number 25, Scott Colley. The Argonauts did a great adjustment. They put Terry Greer inside at the slot back position. They take advantage of it. They finally get one-on-one coverage. He's in behind number 28, Felix Wright. Touchdown, halftime, 23-16.
This is the CFL on CTV. We'll have the second half in a moment.
I'm going to place. Join CTV's 1983 Grey Cup weekend with the annual parade and the Grey Cup game, November 26th and 27th.
Hamilton leads at 23-16 as we prepare for the second half, and there's a look statistically at what happened in the first 30 minutes. Boy, an awful lot of offense. 286 for Hamilton, 237 for Toronto. And what can you say except it was a great 30 minutes of entertainment. The Argos have elected to take the wind in the fourth quarter, so they will kick off now to Hamilton, who will have the wind and the ball to start this second half. Shepard from his 12-yard line. And he slips down at the 20, and now a flag comes down as well. And we have a holding call against the Ticats. So they're going to start off in a real jackpot here to start the third quarter.
You know, Pat, I like the Argonaut decision, taking that wind in the fourth quarter.
Holding Hamilton, number 17. First down.
They do trail by 7 points, but psychologically, if they can hold the Ticats here in the third quarter, you always like to have the wind at your back going into the final quarter of any game.
Hamilton starts from its 10-yard line. The give is to Shepard. And Shepard is wrapped up early. Got maybe to the 11, not much further. Franklin King and William Mitchell, 61 and 39, there to bring him down.
Well, the Argonauts are starting in that 4-3 alignment here in the third quarter. Tony Lawson, number 77, in at defensive end, replacing James Curry, who was ejected earlier in the ball game.
They throw the middle screen to Bragignola, and he fights his way to about the 17, but not enough for the first down. So Bernie Ruoff in the punting unit comes out as the Argos come on strong defensively on Hamilton's first second half possession. The Ticats started just wonderfully here in the early part of this ball game, but the Argos seem to be coming on.
Well, no question, both teams trying to slow down those receivers downfield, and Ken McEachran and Rocky DiPietro having a little war of their own right here. But that's what the Argonauts wanted to do. They wanted to go against that wind in the third quarter. They've held Hamilton. They should get the ball back in reasonable field position.
Good boot by Ruoff. Hangs it high to Cedric Minter at his 35. And Minter gets out very close to the 50. So the Argos will start at that point. Mark Young was first down to make the tackle for the Ticats. 58-yard boot, a 15-yard return. Bill?
As you may have noticed, of course, it's raining. It's a steady rain. But I talked to Cedric Minter before he went into the game, and Cedric said, as far as the offense of the Argos is concerned, look for nothing different. We're going to do exactly what we did in the first half and what we've done all season. We're going to return to our basics. So no changes for that offense.
Terry Greer is back as an outside receiver now. Holloway's pass to a wide-open Emilian Colbert, and he is down to the 47-yard line before Felix Wright wraps him up at that point, but it's a Toronto first down, a pickup of 14 yards.
What an addition he's been to the Argonauts this season. 70 catches on the year. And Emilian Colbert has really taken the pressure off Terry Greer at some point. When teams are doing a number on Greer, they've been able to go to Colbert on the other side and have success.
First down, Toronto. Hamilton 47. Holloway sets the screen up for Minter. The ball comes loose. And Toronto has recovered it. Fortunate set of circumstances for the Argos, as Minter picks up very close to the first down.
A well-executed screen pass to Cedric Minter. Mike Hamelick, number 44, out in front, but Leo Esmond does a good job to fight off the block. He's involved on the play, and Mark Streeter puts the final hit. It causes the ball to come loose, but fortunately for the Argonauts, they're able to recover. You have a better chance to see who made the recovery. Could have been Mike Hamelick, number 44.
They bring the chains out to measure, and the Argos appear to be inches short. So it'll be second down, inches to go. The Argos can actually have a free play here if Holloway wants to put it up, or will they play it safe and go for the first down? Holloway keeps it himself, gets to the 35-yard line for a Toronto first down. So the Argos came out, held the Ticats, and now on this, their first possession of the third quarter, have marched to the Hamilton 35. They trail by 7, 23-16. The winner of this game will play the Western Conference champions. It may be the BC Lions, or it may be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We'll find that out later this afternoon in BC Place next Sunday, and you'll see it all here on CTV. They swing it out to Minter. John Priestner had him momentarily, but Minter fights his way inside the 20 to the 19. Minter had him at the 26-yard line, but Minter, or rather Priestner had him at the 26-yard line, but Minter was able to spin out. The gain is 16 yards.
One of the reasons the Ticats went to that 6 defensive back scheme was not to get into mismatches. They had it there, as Cedric Minter was on John Priestner, no contest, as Minter is able to elude and outrun Priestner easily.
Greer is flanked to one side, Townsend to the other. And the pass goes underneath to Paul Pearson. And Pearson is down to the 11-yard line. We'll have a pickup of about 8 yards. Howard Fields and Mark Streeter were there to bring him down.
What a great situation Donald Holloway is finding himself in on this drive. So many times he's had second and short. You can do so many things from this situation, run the football or go to play action pass and try and take advantage of a defense playing a little tight to the line of scrimmage.
Holloway has thrown 23 times, has completed 17 for 244 yards. He only had 5 interceptions all season long. Second and about 2, Toronto. The ball at the Hamilton 11. The end around to Terry Greer, and Greer is down inside the 5-yard line. First down, goal to go, Toronto.
Well, as I said, when you're in that situation time and time again, second and short, you can do so many things. That time, the element of surprise, Terry Greer on an end-around play. Well, he knew how to run that football, didn't he?
He's got some speed. There's no question about that. He picked up 7 yards. So Toronto can go in for the tying touchdown here early in the third quarter if they can punch those last 4 yards. Holloway with the option to Palazetti, and he does not get in. A swarming Hamilton defense wraps him up at about the 2-yard line.
It appeared as though number 31, John Palazetti, had a good opportunity on the option play to get in the end zone. Good hits by number 18, Mark Young, and 41, Greg Gary, to keep him out of the end zone. Holloway calling for that short yardage offense as they find themselves only 2 yards away from scoring their third touchdown.
9.5 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Hamilton 23, Toronto 16. Second and goal to go, Toronto at the Hamilton 2. Givers to Minter, touchdown, Toronto. A sellout here at Exhibition Stadium, and they're pretty happy right now. The Argos have fought back from a 15-1 deficit. Hank Olisic will try to tie it, and he does.
Well, professional football is such a game of psychology that the Argonauts really have it on their side. Here in the third quarter, into the wind, they've been able to tie this ball game up.
It is Hamilton 23, Toronto 23. We'll be back in just a moment.
What an interesting chess match we've got going. The Argonauts keep changing up their offense. Hamilton geared for the 60 Bs and the double team on Terry Greer. Greer went inside. They had to change. Now he's back outside. They changed again.
And this is Felix Wright. Mark Young with a fine return out over the 45 to the 46-yard line.
Now this is a big test now for the Ticats. They've seen their lead dwindle with the game tied 23-23. An excellent effort by Mark Young here to give them good field position. But Peter Brock and his troops have to try and reestablish some of the momentum they had in the second quarter.
First down, Hamilton at their 46-yard line. Brock unloads it to DiPietro. And he gets to the 52-yard line. Pickup of 6 yards. Everybody else was covered, so he just released it to DiPietro as Mitchell and Brazeley were there to make the stop.
Well, that's one of the things that Peter Brock does as well as anybody. When everybody's getting a deep drop, rather than try and force the football in there, just dump it off and let one of your receivers or backs run with it. Bob Abilovich there, he has to be pleased with the turn of events here in the third quarter.
Second and 4, Hamilton. Brock's pass is complete to Baker, who is really given a rough ride by Marcellus Green, but he does pick up the first down into the Toronto 50-yard line.
Well, that's what the Ticats had to do. At least pick up one first down, try and get something back together again, and they've been able to do so.
You know, Leaf, under normal circumstances, you would think the Argos would be in good shape with a wind in their favor in the fourth quarter, but in this strange game, most of the scoring has been into the wind.
Boy, that's for sure, Al.
The draw to Bragignola. And the big fullback lumbers inside the 45-yard line to about the 43. Darrell Nicholson, the middle linebacker, and William Mitchell, 72 and 39, were there to bring him down.
Well, Al, you make a good point, you know, because so much of this game is to try and keep the other team off balance. Here the Ticats really running the ball more in this ball game with the wind than they are against the wind. So they're really giving the Argonauts a lot to look at.
Second down, 3 yards to go. The give is to Shepard. He gets the first down and more. And Shepard is inside the 25-yard line to about the 23. Steve Aykroyd made the saving tackle.
Oh, what a good job that Hamilton offensive line does on the right side. Jeff Barb, Marv Alamang, Henry Wozchuk to center, Ross Francis, number 54, pulling. But Johnny Shepard, that great acceleration when he sees that opening, and he sure takes advantage of that.
20 yards to pick up. First down, Hamilton. The ball just outside the Toronto 22-yard line. The fumble snap from center is recovered by the Ticats. That's the second time that Brock has had problems with the snap from Henry Wozchuk. Loss will be a couple of yards. Make it 2nd and 12, Argos, as the Champ defense now comes up from this crowd of more than 52,000. Brock over the middle. Shepard makes the reception and gets to the 2-yard line. What a big play by Johnny Shepard, who bobbled the ball, then was finally able to bring it in and gets down very close to the 1.
Well, he's being covered by number 72, Darrell Nicholson, able to get underneath him. A juggling act, but he comes up with the catch, hangs on after a tremendous hit at the goal line. But what a game Johnny Shepard has had. 2 touchdowns and a great reception there.
And this is Shepard trying to bring it in from the 1. A flag is down. He does not get in. Darrell Wilson made tremendous penetration. So too did Steve Aykroyd, and there is a penalty in the end zone. Offside, Toronto. So they'll bring it back to the 1-yard line again.
Well, often what happens in these situations is the defense merely lines up offside, not give that necessary 1 yard.
Outside, Toronto number 4, first down.
The call is against Leroy Paul, the cornerback on the right side of the Argonaut defense. Brock gives it to Shepard. Touchdown, Hamilton. And the Ticats move back in front by 6 with the convert to come. The 3rd touchdown of the ball game for Johnny Shepard.
Oh, there you see it. Just a simple handoff to Shepard. He fights his way into the end zone, but he made that touchdown possible with that super catch over the middle, getting it down in the scoring range. He then takes it in from there.
And that comes with 4:49 left to play in the 3rd quarter. The point after by Ruoff is good. And the Ticats now lead it by 7, 30-23. We'll be back in just a moment.
At the Hamilton bench, I'm talking with Rocky DiPietro. Rocky, another tremendous drive for your football club. What happened at halftime? Did you change anything up?
Well, not really, but we thought we could run against them. We're having some success in the first half running against them, so we're just going to try to do it. And if we have to put it in the air, then we'll do that. But as long as we're having success on the ground, we're going to keep it there.
Well, you're going to have the wind against you the last quarter, so I guess you need some points now, eh?
That's right. We're trying to get all the points we can now, and hopefully in the last quarter we'll be able to maintain some ball control and pick up some time.
Okay, it's a super showing.
Thank you. Good game out there. Hard hitting, I'll tell you.
Jeff Townsend returns the ball to the 18-yard line, but the Argos are going to be in a bit of a bind right now with 4:42 left to play in the 3rd quarter, and they are going against the wind.
Lee, you might check on Tom Trefo, the left tackle. He has a sprained right ankle, and he is heavily bandaged. and they hope he'll be able to operate efficiently under that handicap.
Now, Bill, he's in the ball game right now. Number 50, the left tackle. We'll watch him.
He's going to play. That's right.
First down, Toronto. Give us to Minter, and he gets to the 20, not any further. John Priestner, the middle linebacker, was there to haul him down. Pickup is a couple of yards. Priestner led the club in tackles this season with 109. And the Ticats have played very well defensively the last few weeks when you consider that Zambiazzi has been out of there, and he's one of the best in the league. Second and 8, Toronto. Holloway throws it over the middle to Pearson. He can't come up with the catch. Felix Wright was the defender for the Ticats, who will now get the ball back in pretty good field position.
Now, Pat, he should have had that ball. He worked so hard to get underneath and fight underneath to get inside of Felix Wright. The ball was well thrown by Holloway, and Paul Pearson simply just could not hang on to it. You're right. You know, you always like to answer a score with some kind of first down production of your own. You don't like to give the ball back right away to an offense that's moving as well as the Ticats are.
Keith Baker and Howard Fields are back around their 40-yard line waiting for this punt from Hank Illicit. End-over-end ball that will bounce around midfield. Fields takes it at the Hamilton 50, and look at this. Fields fights his way inside the Toronto 45-yard line to about the 44, and that's where the Cats will have it when we come back. It is Hamilton 30, Toronto 23, and we will be back in just a moment. Well, what a job Al Bruno has done since taking over this club. As you say, this is his 6th game. Went into Ottawa last week, won the semifinal. They had to get at least a point 2 weeks ago against Montreal. That's what they did. They tied. And now they are just 18 minutes away from a berth in the Grey Cup. They lead it 30-23. And Hamilton has a first down at the Toronto 43.5-yard line. They give to Johnny Shepard. First down, Hamilton inside the Toronto 25. Keckren and Aykroyd make the tackle, but it's another big gainer for Johnny Shepard.
What an excellent job he does running the football. Paul Palmer, the offensive tackle, gets enough of a block on Rick Moore, but he just simply outruns Carl Brazeley with the outside. Johnny Shepard, he's just having himself a heck of a ball game. 3 touchdowns already.
First down, Hamilton at the Toronto 24. Again, this is Shepard. And this time he's inside the 20 to about the 18. Marcellus Green and Ken McEachern bring him down. Well, the gain will be 6 yards.
Sorry, Pat. You heard Rocky DiPietro tell Al McCann on the sidelines that they felt they could have success running the football, and they're sure sticking to that right now, grinding it out on the ground and taking time off that clock with just 2 minutes remaining here in the third quarter.
In case you missed it, James Curry was thrown out of the ball game. He was the Argos' right defensive end. Tony Lawson is in replacing him. Rock's pass, touchdown. Keith Baker, no, he did not hang on.
Boy, Dieter Brock's upset. He thought he had a touchdown there as he threw the ball perfectly on the post pattern to Keith Baker. Usually the kind of catch he will come up with. Nevertheless, Marcellus Green came over the top and probably distracted him just enough to make him drop it. Oh, Dieter's upset, though. You can see that bad. He thinks maybe Keith should have had that one.
Well, Dieter wanted so much to perform well today, and boy, what a job he has done. As the field goal try will come from 25 yards out, and it is good. So Hamilton's lead is now 10 points with 1 minute and 26 seconds left to play in the third quarter. And we were talking about Johnny Shepard. He's caught 5 passes for 57 yards, carried the ball 14 for 97 yards. So what a big afternoon he's had, including 3 touchdowns.
Well, the key is, though, Pat, Ticats are taking advantage of their opportunity, scoring some points. Hank Olisic earlier in the ball game missing on that 19-yard field goal. Now the Ticats connecting with a Bernie Ruoff try. They're coming out with something each time they have that ball.
Holloway is sacked by Grover Covington back at the 25-yard line. There was great coverage by the secondary, and Covington just would not let go.
Well, taking a page out of Mark Gastineau's book as he does his little war dance after making the sack, but he's the leader on that club in terms of sack production over the season. Little help there from Mitchell Price at the end, but the Ticats totally are putting it together.
Down to 35 seconds left to play in the third quarter. A 10-point lead for Hamilton in what would be the shocker of recent times. Holloway throws complete to Pearson, very close to the first down marker at the 45-yard line. What a job Holloway did. He did not feel initial pressure, but then it did come. But he stood in there and drilled it into Pearson. And it is a first down.
You said it, Pat. What a great effort. He knows he's just going to get drilled there by Mike Walker, number 61. But what a play as Paul Pearson is so close to that first down. In fact, he has picked up a first down with that reception.
And that comes with just 2 seconds left to play in the third quarter.
Boy, yeah.
It was 2nd and 20.
Every game has a few plays that are maybe turning points in a ball game, and you never know. As we look back at the end, that might be just one of them there, because they did not want to give up the football again. Last 2 times Hamilton has touched the ball, they've come away with a touchdown and a field goal. Toronto's got to try and reestablish something here.
As you saw, defensive tackle Mike Walker is the injured Argo. And I believe that it was Mike Hamilton who gave him a little spear job.
Just talking to Joe Barnes, I said, Joe, you're going to do anything differently? And the offense, he says, no. He says, we don't need to. He says, we're moving the ball well. He says, that's not the problem.
He's right. The problem is they haven't been able to stop Dieter Brock and the Hamilton offense.
Well, the defense is continually talking here with Joe Moss, who's the defensive line coach. We'll get a chance to talk to Rick Moore, who is the defensive player of the year for the Argonauts a little later, and we'll find out at that time, Pat, if they're making changes or what they intend to try and do to stop the running of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, there's no doubt about it that they've been successful running the football.
Well, there's number 44, Mike Hamilton, coming in and doing a cleanup on number 61, Mike Walker, but he's up and walking off the field, and I'm sure we're going to see him back in a hurry. He's a tough fella.
The Argos will have one more play in this third quarter, going into the wind, and then they'll have the wind coming home. That interesting, the Montreal Alouettes in 1970 are the only third-place finisher to advance to the Grey Cup. First down, Argos from their 45. Screen to Minter. Minter is into Hamilton territory at the 49-yard line. And that is a first down for Toronto as the third quarter comes to an end. It is Hamilton 33, Toronto 23. We'll return with the fourth quarter in a moment. The stadium, you can see the wind, but then down at field level, there's very little.
That's right, Pat. Very little wind, no rain. It's almost a perfect day right now for the game.
First down, Argos from the Hamilton 50. The pass is complete to Pearson at the 30-yard line. He gets into the 29. Mike McIntyre pinned him there, but boy, I'll tell you, Holloway really drilled that one in.
He really did, and it's hard to believe that Paul Pearson could be that wide open, that far downfield. He makes just an excellent diving catch here, but as you see, no Hamilton Ticat defender within 10 yards of him.
So this is the situation. Hamilton leads it by 10 points. The Argos have a first down at the Hamilton 29-yard line. Paul Pearson, the ball carrier, inside the 25 to about the 24. He'll pick up 5.
Well, that's a play they've used with some success this season, the slot back trap play, and he gets some pretty good yardage there, 5 yards. But there you see the third quarter statistics. And look at that total offense, 401 for Hamilton, 324 for Toronto. We've just been treated to just a really great offensive showing this afternoon.
And it's far from over with 13:45 left in regulation time. 2nd and 5, Argos. The pass is caught inside the 10-yard line by Jeff Townsend. Fine reception by Townsend gives Toronto 1st and goal from the 9.
Well, when you get into a game of this importance, you have to have everybody contributing. Certainly number 30, Jeff Townsend, has done his part. Excellent catch right there. The other 2 catches he's had have been on screen plays that he's had excellent yardage from.
First down, Toronto. Colbert cannot come up with the reception at about the 3-yard line.
Pass intended for Colbert. Incomplete.
High-cat defense turned Toronto away in the first half inside the 15-yard line.
Pat, if I might interject, Mike Walker is going to go back into the ball game. He has a hyperextended elbow. They have taped it all up, put a special pad on it. These are hardy folks. We've said that before.
Well, he better get ready because his replacement, 79, Jim Muller, he's limping around already out there.
2nd down, Toronto. They had a lot of contact in the end zone, but there is no flag on the play as he was looking for Jeff Townsend with Gerald Best providing the defensive coverage.
Once again, Holloway having all day to throw that football. Nobody able really to work open. Excellent coverage by number 14, Gerald Best. That's a tall order for a cornerback. When the receiver has that much time, he just does an excellent job fighting through to the football.
So Hank Olisic will try a field goal from the 17-yard line. If he is successful, the Argos move back to within a converted touchdown. A line drive that goes through. So the score now is Hamilton 33, Toronto 26, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Out there, are you?
Well, really, yes, they are. They doubling me with the zone. The guy on me, he's never going with me, but he got a lot of deep help and inside help. But we're just trying to work the other receivers right now, and I'll get my chance when they come. I guess I'll make the best of it.
Well, our thanks to Terry Greer, and let me tell you that the attendance this afternoon is 54,530. That is an all-time Toronto Argonaut record. The Ticats, with a 7-point lead, have first down from their 35. Over the middle to Bragignola. And he gets to about the 44-yard line for a pickup of 9 before William Mitchell, number 39, the linebacker, brings him down.
You know, Pat, some coach once said, take the win when you get a chance, it may go down. And that axiom may hold true today because the wind has really settled down. It's hardly a factor.
Al, it's a little bit like Palm Springs here, you know. The temperature's in the 50s.
It's very warm, but you're right.
Hey, we'll be down there in about 10 days.
All right, let's see now what the Ticats come up with on 2nd and 1. They give to Shepard, and he was able to get underneath William Mitchell and Nicholson and get the first down.
Well, you know, we've seen Johnny Shepard make so many outstanding runs today, off tackle and on those sweeps. But this is just a great run right here. It appeared as though he was going to be stopped short of that first down, but just that little extra effort to pick up a half a yard, and they've got their first down.
The ball is at the Hamilton 46. The draw to Shepard, and Mitchell fights through the blockers to make the stop after a gain of maybe 2 yards. And, of course, the clock does become very important right now. 10:30 and counting. In the event of a tie score at the end of this ball game, we would have 2 10-minute overtime periods. DiPietro makes the catch right at the first down marker at midfield. There is a flag down on the field of play, however. Ooh, that's a big penalty. It is against the Ticats, a procedure penalty. This has been a very well-played ball game, though, Leaf. That's only the third penalty against the Ticats this afternoon.
Procedure. Hamilton, number 23. Second down repeated.
Well, that's the guy that made the catch, Rocky DiPietro. And you just cannot allow yourself to go offside in these critical situations. You need a little more discipline than that.
Johnson does not connect. Leroy Paul had slipped down on the field, and Johnson was wide open, but the ball was just slightly overthrown.
Well, the blitz was coming, and Dieter Brock tried to throw that ball on timing. Ron Johnson not able to come up with that catch, but the last two times the Ticats have been second or long. The Argonauts are coming with that blitz. Dieter Brock is reading it. Sooner or later, he may be able to hit for the big one.
That's Scott Colley being attended to on the sidelines as Bernie Ruoff drops back to punt. Graisley and Minter are back for Toronto. This is Graisley, drops the ball and then pounces on it at the Toronto 28-yard line. And that comes with 9:38 left to play in regulation time. Hamilton 33, Toronto 26. We'll be back in just a moment.
Had a great game. It looks like it's going to come down. Your defensive team's going to have to stop them.
Well, the defense is, Al. We're scoring enough points on the board. If you can't win with 33 points, there's something wrong. Our running game, we have a balanced attack out there. Johnny Shepard's running great. We're giving Dieter lots of time to throw. But defense has to come big for us, and I know they will.
I think you crossed them up a little. You had the win, but you ran the ball at them.
Well, they thought we were going to pass, and I knew deep down, whatever they gave us, we were going to adjust. And we plan to run all the time on them, and it's working out very successful for us.
Okay, Mark.
Thank you, Al.
9.5 minutes left in regulation time. First down, Toronto. Holloway was looking for Terry Greer, but he was going down just as he released the ball. Great pressure there from Sauvé and Covington.
Well, really, it was number 58, Dave Sauvé, that forced Holloway not to get enough on this ball to complete it to his receiver. Like to report also, number 61, Mike Walker. He is back in the ball game, and with a dislocated elbow, these guys are tough.
Well, he probably looks at it this way. I've got a whole season to rest up if we don't win this one.
Well, you're absolutely correct about that.
2nd and 10. The screen was very nearly picked off by Sauvé. They were trying to throw it to Talbert. And boy, he came within a hair of picking that off.
He'll be dreaming about that one tonight. I think he was as surprised as Holloway was to see him there, as he had an excellent shot to make the interception. Nevertheless, they did their job. They will turn the ball over to their offense in pretty good field position.
9 minutes left in regulation time as Hank Olisic drops back to punt. Fields and Baker await at their 35-yard line. Fields takes it at the 36. Has nowhere to go as he's snowed under right away by Dan Ferroni. Incidentally, they're planning one of the largest luncheons to ever be held in a stadium this coming Tuesday when the Grey Cup Festival organizers in Vancouver kick off the Grey Cup Week's festivities with the kickoff luncheon. It's open to the public. So if you're in Vancouver on Tuesday, make sure you drop down to BC Place. I know you'll have a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be a massive barbecue they're planning there at BC Place.
That whole week's going to be a lot of fun, gentlemen, and we're fortunate enough to be there to bring everything to you via CTV. But it's going to be a great week, and I'm sure a great game.
Well, we're looking forward to getting out there and seeing our old buddy Frank Rigney.
I want to see how they're going to roast the commissioner. That's Tuesday night, of course, the roast of Commissioner Jake Dedore.
First down, Hamilton from their 27. Shepard, the ball carrier, has no place to go as he slips down at about the 24-yard line. His feet just went right out from under him. Well, this is a very important defensive stand for the Argos right now, trailing by 7 points and just 8 minutes and 20 seconds left in regulation time.
Pat, you're so right, because if Argos can hold Hamilton here on this down, they're going to get good field position.
The loss was 3 yards. It is 2nd and 13. And Brock just threw it away. He knew there was no chance for any kind of a completion, so he just drilled the ball into the turf. And Bernie Ruoff and the punting unit comes out.
Well, that's a good play by Dieter. Just ground that ball. Make sure nobody else has a chance to make an interception. Toronto Argonauts read the screen. Nowhere to go.
Incidentally, next Friday, there's a big boxing match coming up at the Pacific Coliseum. Michael Spinks will go against Oscar Rivard de Nera. So if you're a boxing fan and you're out there for Grey Cup, you can take that one in, too.
You're the only guy who can pronounce that, Pat.
Wobbly punt by Ruoff. Bounces on Hamilton's side of midfield. Graisley has it, and a flag is down. He was dropped at the 53-yard line. And we may have a no-yards penalty against the Ticats, which would put Toronto in excellent field position. We'll find out about that when we come back. As you see, the Cats lead it by 7.
There is a way to keep your car safe from winter. Protect it with Perma-3 antifreeze from Canadian Tire. Perma-3 is undaunted by winter's cataclysmic assaults. Its paralyzing destruction. Its menacing force. Perma-3 will take anything winter can dish out, so your car won't have to. Perma-3 antifreeze from Canadian Tire, because only the strong survive.
You know, Grandpa, computers keep on getting smaller. Why, I bet one day there'll be a computer no bigger than my math book. I'll do my homework on it, learn how to program, even create graphics and sound effects. Oh, wow!
MC10 from Radio Shack, the little computer you can use in a big way with your TV. Sale priced for Christmas giving.
Bet you just can't wait for a Christmas pack from Radio Shack.
Well, Bruno was a little bit upset at that no-yards call against Brady. Nevertheless, Toronto, because of the penalty, takes over at the Hamilton 38-yard line. 7 minutes, 35 seconds left to play in regulation time. Hamilton leads by a converted touchdown, 33-26. As head coach Bob Obilovich talks it over with Jan Karinci on the sidelines. He's been shuffling Karinci in and out of there with plays from the bench. Going deep to Tolbert. Touchdown, Toronto. The touchdown strike from Conrad Holloway to Emmanuel Tolbert, who in a game earlier this year scored 3 touchdowns of a similar variety, and Hank Kalisic can tie the game again. And he does. Oh, what a game.
Boy, you've got 54,000 plus fans here at Exhibition. Absolutely delirious here as Emmanuel Tolbert, 38 yards. You know, they had that commercial timeout. I'm sure they discussed it on the sidelines. He had single coverage, the post pattern on Mark Young. How about that catch for a touchdown? The man they call E.T. Boy, easy, doesn't it? He put a heck of a move on Mark Young. We got a tie ball game. A little over 7 minutes remaining.
$66 points in this Eastern Final. The winner to play in next week's Grey Cup game against either the British Columbia Lions or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This one sails deep in the end zone. Shepard got his hands on it, and he will concede the single point. For the first time in the game, the Argos are in the lead. They lead it by a point. Had that ball sailed right through the end zone, there would not have been a single point.
Well, that's a good point, Pat. I'm not sure whether Johnny Shepard would have realized that in this situation. And, of course, he did what he thought he had to do there. But you're right. This is the first time that the Argonauts have held the lead.
Brock has been magnificent this afternoon. Let's watch him go to work. The pass for Johnson is batted away by Leroy Paul.
Well, you could just feel the momentum shifting to the Toronto Argonauts. The defense is playing a little tighter. Leroy Paul, great anticipation. He's an Eastern All-Star this year, and he breaks up that pass play, but you could just feel it, can't you? Yeah, he'll be all right.
Well, it's a warm day, but it's not that warm. 2nd and 10, Hamilton. Brock's pass, looking for Baker, no good. He slipped. And the Argos are taunting him from the sidelines. Dan Perrone came out, just was screaming at him.
Well, watch, there's a little miscommunication. Both Rocky DiPietro and Baker are in the same area. That should not happen. Nevertheless, Baker slipped down. The Argonauts are going to get the ball back.
6:42 left in regulation time. Toronto leads it by a single point, 34-33. Another short punt that Brazeley has trouble with again, but he falls on the ball at the 46-yard line. Brazeley's had his problems. Obviously, the ball is hanging up, and he's finding it difficult to squeeze it. But this has been just a tremendous game.
Pat, you're so right. It looks now like the Tiger Cats are going to need some sort of a break, you would think. As Leaf pointed out, the Argos seem to have the momentum. But you never know in football. One turnover could change immediately.
Well, what the Argonauts would like to do right here now, with over 6 minutes to go, take it down the field methodically, come out with some points. They have a 1-point lead, but try and kill as much time off the clock and put a few points on the board if they can.
Well, I'll tell you, you see the crowd just roaring and going crazy here. These are Argo fans, but Rick Moore, the defensive leader of this Argonaut squad, was up on the bench, and he was leading the cheers.
And they responded, 54,530 fans here today. Cedric Minter. Look at the effort he put into it. He was wrapped up at the 50-yard line, but he just exploded through there to get very close to midfield. As a matter of fact, they'll spot it at the 53.
John Priestner has an excellent shot here to stop Minter at the line of scrimmage, but he's able to get through and buy that tackle and pick up some good yardage.
Very close to 7 yards, so make it 2nd and 3. Toronto, the ball at their 53-yard line.
Oh, this is exactly what they want to do. You know, Al Bruno, he's concerned because Toronto's trying to run some time off the clock with this running game.
5:35 left in regulation time. Covington sacks Conrad Holloway back at the 49-yard line. Holloway got caught up in the traffic and had nowhere to go.
Well, he sure did. I'm a little surprised for 2nd and 3 that he might not have tried to run the football, but you're right, he did get caught up. Runs into his own lineman there, Mike Hameluk, and Grover Covington's able to come up with the sack.
So now Mark Young and Keith Baker drop back to their own 10-yard line as Hank Olisic will be punting on 3rd and 7.
Well, remember, the Ticats have been running that reverse off the punt in the last few ball games. Keith Baker is in the lineup, and he's the one they like to do it with.
High end-over-end ball that comes to Baker at the 10. And he dances his way to the 14, but no further. So the Ticats, with 4:54 left in regulation time, will start inside their 15-yard line. A 50-yard kick by Alyssa. It was 15-1 at one stage in this ball game in favor of the Ticats. And as a matter of fact, they led it by 10 at the end of the third quarter. Brock down the middle for Colley. What a catch at the 52-yard line. He just extended himself in midair to bring it down, the rookie from Brigham Young University.
What a tremendous effort by Scott Colley, and had he not fallen to the ground, was certainly gone for the touchdown. But watch as he's able to split the seam and stretch out on a fingertip catch. Well, I tell you, when it's critical, and you've got guys that are coming through with efforts like this is just a tremendous game.
40 yards to pick up. First down, Hamilton at midfield. Brock over the middle, complete to DiPietro at the 44-yard line, and he'll have another first down for the Ticats with 3:50 left to play in regulation time.
Now Dieter Brock standing tall in that pocket. He knows he's going to take a shot from Franklin King. Nevertheless, he's able to deliver that ball to Rocky DiPietro. Runs an excellent pass pattern, and the Ticats are putting together a drive here. Just over 3 minutes remaining.
The ball at the Toronto 44. Brock's pass is caught at about the line of scrimmage by Scott Colley. Darrell Wilson was all over him the moment that he got his hands on it. He'll actually pick up about a yard.
Defensive strategy of the Argonauts has been to blitz Dieter Brock in this second and long situation. They need 8 yards for a first down. Let's see if they come after him.
Brock is running with 2:50 left to play in regulation time. Colley makes the catch at the Toronto 30-yard line. First down, Hamilton.
Scott Colley having himself an excellent fourth quarter. That diving catch, touchdown, and now this reception to pick up a first down.
All right, when we come back, it'll be first down, Hamilton. They trail 34-33, and we'll be back in just a moment. Scott Colley made a big catch in that semifinal against Ottawa last week. He comes up with a couple more here and has given Hamilton first down at the Toronto 30 with 2 minutes, 47 seconds left to play in regulation time. The Argos lead it by a point, 34-33. Dieter Brock has completed 22 of 33 passes for 450 yards this afternoon. They give to Shepard. And he was forced back, but because he does have that great speed, he was able to get back to the original line of scrimmage. William Mitchell and Darrell Wilson, 39 and 13, forced him out of bounds. Well, I don't know about you. This is one of the greatest games I've ever seen.
Oh, one of the best games I have ever seen. There's no question about that. Both teams just doing everything they have to do to try and win this ball game.
Second and 10 at the 30. Brock swings it out to Bragagnola, and he's hit behind the line of scrimmage. It was as simple as this. Steve Aykroyd wasn't going to let go, and he didn't. So now Bernie Ruoff comes out.
The Argonauts have been blitzing on every second down situation. This time, a good job by Steve Aykroyd. He comes a long way from that safety position to cover the back. But he makes the play, and it's up to Bernie Ruoff now to try and get the Ticats back in front.
There's a tough shot, Leaf. That wind is going to be a factor.
It'll be a 38-yard field goal try from the hash mark.
Well, there's no question. He has the strength in his leg from 38 yards.
It is good. And the Ticats are back out in front by 2 points, 36-34 with 2:02 left to play.
What a pressure kick by Bernie Ruoff, and he hit that one right on the screws because he got everything in. Watch this. Perfect acceleration through the football, good plant, head down, and what a great shot for 38 yards.
Well, this has been something.
I'll tell you, I don't know if he's close to you, but Harold Ballard, the owner of the Ticats, and King Clancy must have gone crazy. Ballard's already said, as far as he's concerned, this is his Grey Cup game. But if he should, by any chance with the Cats, make it to the Grey Cup, look out Vancouver next week.
I don't think the town's big enough for Harold.
Toronto starts from the 35. Covington appeared to be outside. There is no flag down. Pass for Townsend is very nearly picked off. Now let's see, we're going to have an interference call against who? Will it be against Gerald Bess or will it be against Jeff Townsend? Oh, this is a critical play. There is a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage. They did notice that Covington jumped. Interference gives Toronto possession at the Hamilton 40.5-yard line.
Well, we get a chance to have a look at it. Jeff Townsend working against Gerald Bess, and Bess has his back to the football. Bump on Jeff Townsend. Boy, that's a tough one to call right there.
1:55 left in regulation time. The screen for Minter. And he gets out of bounds inside the 30. First down, Toronto. He just accelerated past Sobe.
Good play selection. Get those receivers running the defensive backs deep downfield. Cedric Minter has plenty of room on that screen pass to pick up at least the 10-12 yards that he needed for first down and get out of bounds to stop the clock. John Priestner, the Hamilton middle linebacker, the injured Ticat on the play, but some kind of finish.
Yeah, it's not shabby.
Well, these Ticats, they were involved in a real cliffhanger in Ottawa last week, so they've been through this before. But so have the Argonauts. Last year, Grey Cup finalists, they've been through pressure games before, and they, I'm sure, will take care of it in this situation.
Holloway has thrown the ball 34 times, completed 23. For 366 yards. This has been just a magnificent performance by everybody on both these squads.
You know, it's rather interesting, Pat. Bernie Ruoff, I was talking to him just before the game when he's taking a few kicks. I said, well, good luck, Bernie. And he said, Bill, the one thing we want to make sure of is that we have a real good ball game, that nobody gets blown out here. And it seemed to me that the feeling then from the Hamilton Ticat standpoint was we're great underdogs, we want to win, but the worst thing we want is to make sure it's a great ball game. And boy, is it ever.
It is first down, Toronto. The ball at the Hamilton 28-yard line with 1:48 left in regulation time. Cedric Minter. And Minter slips down inside the 15-yard line for another Toronto first down.
Risky in this situation. Just a safe screen pass to Minter. Leo Ezra's had a good shot. So did Mark Streeter. But second effort gets Minter in excellent shape. The Argonauts at the 13-yard line. A field goal will win it at this point.
1:28 and the clock is running. Terry Greer. Excuse me, that was Colbert. Emmanuel Colbert, as opposed to Greer, gets down to the 5-yard line.
Well, what he does, too, on that play is stay in bounds, so that clock will start when the referee whistles play in.
He picked up about 8 yards, so it is 2nd and 2. Toronto, the ball at the Hamilton 5, trailing by 2 points. Hamilton 36, Toronto 34. Clock is running. We're down inside a minute now. Cedric Minter. And he has no place to go. Now, did he get the first down? He had to get to the 3-yard line.
Good job by John Preissner, the middle linebacker. And well, I don't believe they picked up the first down. It's going to be very close. Well, what do you do?
Well, what do you do?
Yeah. They are short.
Well, I'm glad I'm not coaching. They're short.
Well,
they trail by 2 points.
I'm not even going to make a guess here.
Well, he's sending Hank Olisic out. Wow.
Now 53 seconds remaining. Ticats, of course, will get their hands on the football after this field goal attempt.
Timeout, Toronto. That's a good decision. They're going to talk this thing over on the sidelines. All right, it's Hamilton 36, Toronto 34. 53 seconds left. We'll be back in just no commercial cue. Well, Holloway is over now, talking to his head coach, Pavel Bilovich. Olisic stays out on the field. The Argos have called a timeout. And we're going to stay right with you because we don't want to miss this one.
Well, you see Conrad Holloway, and I know what case he's pleading right now. He's saying, come on, coach, let us pick up that first down. Still a few more seconds on the clock, and apparently that's what they're going to do.
I'm not going to say anything, I'll tell you that. I'm just going to watch this one. It's 3rd and inches inside the 4-yard line. 53 seconds show on the clock. Toronto trails by 2 points. Sure, their feeling is so many things can go wrong in a field goal, and here they just hope that they can just fall forward for the inches.
Well, I think it'll be just a quarterback sneak.
Minter. Boy, there was an initial hit on him.
He was hitting the backfield. I think he ran into his own man, but maybe that second effort, he was able to pick up the first down. It just depends entirely on the spotting by the official.
First down, Toronto.
Good penetration by the Hamilton defensive line, but not good enough. Cedric Minter is able to pick up the first down. And with the clock running at just over 40 seconds, they have a chance to salt this one away. They'll hurry.
They've got to get it into the end zone first. Give us to Minter. Touchdown, Toronto. With 27 seconds left.
gambled and won.
You've got to feel sorry for the Ticats. Do you know that? They've played so well all afternoon. It's not finished yet. 27 seconds left. But what a time to have them score. The point after is good. So now the score is Toronto 41, Hamilton 36. And we'll come back for the final 27 seconds in just a moment. Well, I'm sure you've enjoyed the football game. What a game that man has had, Conrad Holloway. What a game Dieter Brock has had. Everybody has played so well. It's the kind of a game you wish would never end. But we're 27 seconds away from it right now, and Toronto leads by 5 points. Alyssa kicks it deep. And Shepard brings it out. And he only gets to about the 17-yard line. I'd have been inclined to just down the ball.
Well, you're absolutely right. He should have just down the ball. The clock does not start until the ball is touched. Maybe just 1 second would have been deleted from the clock, and they would have had the ball at the 35-yard line. They've got a lot of territory to cover here if they want to score a touchdown.
But I'll tell you, there's a guy at the controls of Hamilton who can throw the ball the length of this field. And don't ever forget that. He's starting from his 17-yard line, and I refer to Dieter Brock, who has completed 23 of 34 today for 448 yards. He bobbles the pass from center. The Argos recover at the 17-yard line with 18 seconds left. Earl Bubba Wilson comes up with the recovery. The third time today that quarterback Brock has had problems with the pass from center.
Well, there you see it. Dieter Brock mishandling the exchange from center. But, Pat, you know what's interesting of this 54,000 here with the game out of reach now. Nobody's leaving. They want to stay here and savor this. Their Toronto Argonauts will be back in the Grey Cup for the second year in a row.
And let me tell you, get off that field in a hurry and leave. You and Pat better stay upstairs. You're not used to crowds.
Al Conrad Holloway will take it and just ground it. Clock is down to 15 seconds.
Rick Moore and some of his pals, the sidelines, Hank Olisic, Franklin King.
He doesn't have to. I know he's disappointed, Al Bruno, but boy, did he have this club prepared to play today. They were overwhelming underdogs. That's it. That's the ball game. The Toronto Argonauts have won their second straight Eastern Conference Championship, and they will play next Sunday in BC Place in the 1983 Grey Cup game. Al Bruno is very upset. He rushed out to the officials, and I think he's most concerned about that interference call that enabled Toronto late. But what a tremendous football game. Hats off to everybody who performed in it. It was a great, great contest. Toronto wins it 41-36, and they will play either the British Columbia Lions or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a game that you'll see here on CTV. We'll be back to wrap it up in just a moment. The final score, Toronto 41, Hamilton 36.
Canadian football stars are under the dome in an East versus West matchup. See All-Star Football on CTV Saturday, December 3rd.
Head coach Bob Abilovich taking his Argonauts to the Grey Cup for the second straight year. Obi, that was some comeback.
Well, it was a real character builder for our football team, Bill. The guys never quit. First half we made some mistakes, but I think we showed the signs of a true championship team, and we hung in there. And at the end, I just didn't want to give Brock another chance, so I decided to go for the touchdown instead of the field goal, so they wouldn't have any time to come back on it.
Did you agonize over that decision?
Well, I thought about it, and then I called timeout and gathered my thoughts a little bit more and explained to our players what we wanted to do. And I just didn't want to give him any more time to come up with another big play against us.
Were you surprised at how tough the Tiger Cats were?
No, that's why I was afraid to play him, because they got the great quarterback and good receivers, and you know, he's been in the league, and the CFL's a big play league. I think we made a lot of mistakes in the secondary today, and our tackling wasn't real sharp to give them full marks. That was a heck of a football game.
Why do you think you weren't sharp? Do you think the layoff? Does that bother you?
Maybe, who knows? They played well, and we played well enough to win.
Now, your offense was moving well, but I wonder if at any time you thought of putting Joe Barnes in.
No, not really. I thought Conrad had a good feel for what we wanted to do. The biggest thing was trying to stop Brock. We were moving the football, and Brock was the guy that we were more concerned about.
You weren't worried about the running of Hamilton?
No. We thought our running game would be just as good, and both teams rely on the pass, so we weren't concerned about it. They broke a couple, but I was glad to see them running the ball in the third quarter because they were eating up the time, and they had the win.
Congratulations. Good luck in the Grey Cup.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Head coach Bob Obilovich of the Toronto Argonauts.
And now the Carling O'Keefe Sports Offensive and Defensive Game Stars as selected by the Football Reporters of Canada. The offensive star is running back Johnny Shepard of the Hamilton Ticats, and the defensive star is Grover Covington, the defensive end of the Ticats. The final score, Toronto 41, Hamilton 36. We'll be back in just a moment.
Was really what got them on track in the second half, and what a just tremendous performance. It's only fitting, 12-4, they should be the representative in the Grey Cup.
Well, the final score was Toronto 41, Hamilton 36. The Argos move on to next Sunday's Grey Cup game, and we'll have it here for you on CTV. It'll be another great one. The CFL on CTV is copyrighted and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or rebroadcast in whole or in part without the express written consent of the CTV television network is strictly prohibited.